Okay, somebody's blocked. Is because they bring me down every single time. So I was trying to say that fast to disrupt
You
them.
got knocked down because you called Amy a pig. That's why
Yeah.
you got knocked down. Yes,
So
that's why you got knocked down.
yeah.
So you're not a
Plus,
victim.
no,
You're not a victim, guys.
the other thing is no. Before they brought me up, they bring me up, and some like the co-host brings me down. So I was texting him. I added him. I requested him as like to follow, and then he said, "I have the screen here." He said, "Be polite." I said, "Yes." Be respectful. He said. I said, "Okay." So
And I want to follow up
But
with
then you
that,
weren't.
guys.
But then you weren't respectful. So then you got knocked
Hold
down.
on,
So
Vinegar.
okay, I'm glad. I'm glad we could. Yeah, we could.
vinegar,
Go ahead,
vinegar,
Travis.
donut.
No, I was going to say I want to follow up with the controlled chaos say about being kind and Kai's being respectful. And I got to ask Pulte to be kind and respectful. I don't want to, you're the host here. First and foremost, how are you faring with the hurricane in your area? Everything good on your side?
All good, all good. I had a better chance of dying in that plane that we were on that one day.
Well, that's good to hear. I have been thinking about you.
Well, I've been thinking about that plane ride, how you almost got knocked unconscious.
PP
I think
handled it
the
well though.
I think the funniest thing is that I was a little bit afraid when we first took off, and then Pulte's like, "Oh, don't worry, these are the planes Buffett uses. It's all good, no worries." And then all of a sudden, there's fucking issues, and we're going down. So I thought that was pretty funny.
PP was fine because I didn't tell you guys there was really an issue until
it wasn't anything like a combat landing in a C-130 into Iraq, but
Icon, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'll be super brief. Thank you guys for bringing me up. I hope everyone's doing well. And the same thing as Travis. I hope everyone that was in an area affected is doing well and all their family is doing well. I just wanted to point out kind of the idiocy behind them standing behind James Johnny and the fact that clearly pointed out today that this guy's a moron. He's a moron. He posted a documentary calling Bitcoin a scam at the bottom at 16 grand per one Bitcoin. We are now over 60K. It's ridiculous. This guy's a joke. Like Pulte said earlier, to
wow,
go on to the next thing.
that's actually crazy because I thought he had some semblance of legitimacy, but that's that's the most bullish thing I've heard for BBBY, and there's not a lot of bullish things for it.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said it better. The dude's just gonna go on to the next shiny thing. So
he's such a moron. He did such little research that he actually thought someone with an alt of Ryan Cohen speaking was actually Ryan Cohen. I mean that right there should tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's up with that? Did somebody it down?
You were lagging out there, Pulte.
Yeah, you roboted.
Yeah.
I said, did somebody tell him that that's not actually Ryan Cohen? Because that's fucking deceptive and fraudulent as shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody who watched the documentary, whether they're even the shills, know the fact that he doesn't know. I mean, he did little to no research on this at all.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not in the right.
disgusting. That's crazy.
No, I
That's
did.
crazy. Vinegar Donut, what do you got? What do you got, Vinegar
Well,
Donut?
hold
Go
on.
ahead.
I have a question for Vinegar Donut as he comes up. I tried for
After
over 30
Vinegar,
minutes.
Serenity. Go ahead.
Yes,
I
I also have a question for Vinegar Donut.
I tried for
Well,
30
no,
minutes to come up, and you as co-host wouldn't let me up. So
so
what's up?
Travis, I was only co-host for towards the end of it, and I only got one request, and I clicked on the button, and the request was gone. So, yeah, you guys have to I know I heard what the end of what Control Chaos was saying about the space, but the space was a spontaneous space with just a handful of people just talking about the documentary, and then when Pulte comes in, Pulte's a polarizing guy, has a big following, so he shows up. We start asking him questions. A bunch of people roll in, and then a bunch of people that don't like Pulte go up on the mic and they start saying all these rude things to him where when we're trying to have a normal conversation. So you guys are acting like this whole space was created to shut down conversation to silence you all is complete bullshit. It was a spontaneous space that wasn't planned for that conversation. And then I was only brought up as host later and tried to control it the best I can. And there were other co-hosts up there. So
That's
and it's
fair.
just
I was
Rich
just
coming from
curious.
controlled. It's just Rich coming from control, talking about how we're trying to control false narrative, where he's been caught trying to control false narratives multiple
Well, you
times, and it's
guys, you
and
guys are
sharing
that.
fake tweets and stuff like that. So
You
I
guys
find that
are.
against Rich, but
You guys are praising a documentary that basically cut out 80% of the truth. There was no mention of Ryan Cohen offering $400 million to the company. There was no mention of SUGov, period. There was no mention of the board that is under fraud right now for what they did. There was no mention of Triton. So yeah, I would say you guys are praising a documentary that quite literally covered maybe at best 10% of the entire community. The other 90%, which was factual, there was no mention of dockets that we read through. It was basically the way it was formulated was that we're just a bunch of crazy people who get every piece of DD out of a teddy book when that is very far from the truth. That's one piece of what we like to read. And again, it's called tinfoil, right? So the actual factual stuff is very concerning when you guys are kind of getting together and propping up a narrative that is obviously nefarious because it didn't tell the true story at all.
Well, no, it told the true story. It didn't tell the full story, and you have to understand the difference to that.
Not
The
at all.
guy is an
It
outsider.
didn't.
No, the guy is an outsider. Okay, and he worked on this for like a year. And again, I'm not going to defend the guy because I don't fucking know anything about him. But I follow your community almost every day, and I watched the documentary. And for someone that's an outsider that was doing research, he did a pretty good job for the fact that this is a human interest piece. Okay, he's not going
He
to
did a
mention
pretty good
every
job
bit.
of cherry
He's not
picking
going to
the
mention
information that
every
he
bit.
wanted to
Let me
use for
finish.
his
Let me
narrative.
finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. He's not going to mention every little bit of information that you guys do. You guys follow this shit all day, every day for multiple years. Of course, you're going to have more information than he does. But this was a two-part
So why
human
did he
interest
leave
piece
out
on
Larry
the pulse
Chang?
of finance. Like you can't nitpick everything and say, oh, you didn't include this, you didn't
Or
include this.
No,
That
or
no,
the
we're not. We're
fact
not
that
even.
RC
No,
has
this
been like
we need to change the way that this is being discussed because it's not
agreed.
that he just went through and produced the documentary and took a year to take for this to take place. He literally cherry picked every single thing out of it and kept any sort of bullish thesis out of there. It's complete bullshit, dude.
There was no mention of Larry Chang. I mean, that was obviously intentional. He covers the show, the live show, cuts it short, but fails
what
to
about
show
Larry
a
Chang?
board member of GameStop that attended it. That's a little
Al-
Well,
bizarre,
he attended
right?
by
along with
Zoom.
that,
He
You
along with
act
didn't
that,
like the
attend
That's
people
a
in
by
this
little
Zoom.
weird.
community don't have eyes, then we can't see what's being played right in front of us, dude. We see the narrative, dude. We've been through the Matrix. We see exactly what this dude's doing, and
oh,
nobody's gonna convince us otherwise. It's like it's right fucking in front of us, bro. And if you
agreed.
can't see it, dude, I'm concerned for you.
And not only
Can I ask
that,
Paul
but
a
the
question
thing
actually
is that with
about that?
RC, all of his pump and dump cases have been dismissed. Every single one of them have been dismissed, and that was never mentioned. It's like he's not a pump and dumper. Every time somebody tries to say something in public, somebody has the opportunity in the United States to go into court and say, "Prove it." And with Ryan Cohen, that was the case. And he said, I can prove otherwise. And he has done that emphatically multiple times over. And that was never mentioned.
I think that's the
Explain
most.
that.
I
Well,
think
yeah,
that's the
he
part.
also had he didn't have updated information, right? Like I think like GameStop has 4 billion on hand, and he only said they had 1 billion, right? So like he didn't get everything right. I'm not claiming that he got everything right.
Yeah, but here's the
Am I
funny
wrong?
part
Am I
is
wrong about that? I think he only said 1 billion.
can
Does
I
anyone
can I
know?
can I
So,
speak for
so
a
if he
minute?
didn't
Yeah,
get
but I mean
everything
Yeah,
that could have
right,
been
we need
that
to
could
let
have.
Serenity go
All
as
right,
well.
Somebody needs
Serenity
to
God.
mute who's staticky.
Yeah, I just want to have a quick question with Vinegar. I mean, on one hand side, you said you try to save the retail investor, but on the other hand side, you just scrutinized PP, Pulte, or Rayan. But I never heard like you are, questioning like why market manipulation happening in this market from years. And I mean, Jeff Bezos is selling his stock. Warren Buffett
Okay,
selling
I
his.
never said I was trying to save retail. I also like I think markets are corrupt and manipulated, but I also think buying and holding a dead stock doesn't do anything. So my phrase I often use is you're at